Longview parents here for this week's video. So last night, Rusty, we were going through the walls of Jericho, that battle, how Joshua led the Israelites through there. So we're in Joshua 5, 6, 7. And then Rusty kind of gave us the concluding thing, like, hey, who are you going to serve? Are you going to serve the gods of this world? Are you going to serve the God of yourself? Or are you going to serve Jesus, God who sent His Son for you, that Joshua gave in Joshua 24. So Rusty, if you can kind of summarize everything else that you said in that sermon, what would you summarize it?
I would say that we looked at how Joshua and the nation of Israel had total surrender to God, how they gave up everything for His plans. You know, they were going to prove themselves in their first real battle across the Jordan for the Promised Land, and instead of swords and stuff, which they probably planned to use, God was like, hey, no, I just want you to walk and blow some horns. And they did it. They totally surrendered to Him. They surrendered everything to Him. We even saw how Joshua bowed down his face to them. And like Joshua and Israel, we have to, as Christians, as believers, we have to totally surrender everything about our lives, our social media, our words, our actions, the things we do, our relationships. Mm-hmm. We have to totally surrender to Jesus and let Him be in control of all those. That's kind of it in a nutshell, so to speak.
Yeah. And so encouraging our parents to have these spiritual conversations. Rusty, what are some conversation starters you would give our parents, some questions to ask?
I would say that one of the things we looked at was Achan. You know, Achan thought he needed more than God to be happy. He looked like part of God's team. He was walking, he was blowing. When he went in, he saw some gold, some silver, and a jacket that he wanted, so he took it. And but I told the students last night how so many times I think that Achan is us. Yeah. We have these Achan kind of compromises in our life, places where we think we need more than God to be happy. So I would encourage you to sit down with your students and say, hey, what areas of your life, you know, where you claim to be a Christian but you don't look like it? You know, talk through that with them as parents and model it for them. Right. So ask them what kind of Achan kind of compromises they have in their life. I would also ask them what their time they're spending with God looks like, because if you're going to be part of the team, part of the believers, so to speak, you got to spend time with the one that runs it.
Right, exactly. And one thing we're doing is we're encouraging students to share their testimonies. Absolutely. And so we encourage you to encourage your student to set up a time with me or Rusty. Just come share their testimony via video that we can share with the youth, so the youth can see what the Lord's done in their lives. And through that, we encourage you to share your testimony with your student. I think it's a really cool thing when parents are able to tell their students what Jesus has done in their life, kind of how they came to know who Jesus was as Lord and Savior.
Yeah, and it's real simple. You just got to tell them, you know, who you was before Christ, how you met Christ, and what He's done for you since then.
But that's kind of our challenge for y'all this week, is just kind of summarize Rusty's message, encourage you to have that conversation of what kind of Achan moments are you having, you and your student have that conversation, and also to encourage them to share their testimony, and y'all to share your testimonies with one another. So we thank you for tuning in. Hope you have a great rest of your week. Oh, boy.